Yo, welcome back everyone to the Mind Aura Lab. You're in the lab today with Will Padilla-Brown. How are we doing today, Will?
Feeling blessed. I'm happy to be alive.
Man, amen to that. That's awesome. New year and new season of my podcast. And I wanted to get people on here that are new to this podcast. And your page struck me with some awesome content. I think we have a mutual connection, which is Stephen Philpott Jr. And he reposted something. So I started following you and started looking more into your content. And just for everyone who doesn't know who you are, introduce yourself and where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Right on. My name is William Padilla-Brown. I'm originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina, but my home is New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. I grew up traveling all around, but I spent most of my formative years here around central Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's all you asked me, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all good. So, like, growing up in Pennsylvania, what was that like? Did you have a knack for science, or was just something that you took on later on in life?
I got more interested in science. I lived in London for a little bit when I was like in fourth grade and fifth grade, and we did some cool stuff in the school I went to there that like started to like lead me more into the direction of science. Like before that, I was more interested in like philosophy and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I spent like high school being interested in like science and philosophy. But then I dropped out of high school whenever I was in 11th grade because it was interfering with my education. I was living in Taiwan.
Okay.
And it was like a lot more complex than the school that I had been doing. And I didn't feel like it was like fruitful for me. So I dropped out and I started studying quantum physics whenever I first dropped out of school. So it was definitely different than like the biological science and stuff like that I do right now. But yeah, I mean, I just had like a burning desire to understand like what was happening around me.
The natural world, basically, like the principles.
Mhm.
Interesting take, dropping out and then going into quantum physics. So, when you pursued quantum physics and started studying down that path, what were you trying to gain from that?
I wanted to understand like what was happening, like why was I alive? What does this even mean? And I was very fascinated with the study of consciousness, and that led me to meeting scientists like Elizabeth Rauscher, who co-authored a book called Mind Dynamics in Space and Time. If I had a better understanding of consciousness, I could, design my life a little better or have some better, like some, more understanding of purpose in life.
Hmm.
And I felt that quantum physics was like the place to look and the place to study because um as far as like science is concerned, as far as physics is concerned, the only thing that's stopping me from physically sticking my hand through a wall is my consciousness. So I mean, I feel like I don't know, with as far as physics is concerned, if I can vibrate at the right frequency, I should be able to stick my hands through stuff.
Sure.
And not just that, but other things. So like I don't know, I came across these understandings in physics and I'm just like, oh well shit, like maybe if I meditate hard enough, I can do some of these otherworldly feats that we've only seen from like yogic masters and things like that. That kind of stuff was like super fascinating to me when I was younger. I was like, yo, there's like some for real like I mean, there's straight up files about the government studying people in the U.S. for different things like this. There's studies from Stanford Research Institute about students like making ping pong balls float with their mind and shit like this. Their study from Stanford Research Institute on remote viewing. There were multiple efforts in studying psychokinesis in Russia. There's even images of Vladimir Putin when he was a young child in some of these things that people would maybe like close more like in popular media and Stranger Things. They have like the scenes where they have all the kids locked up in the room doing all this stuff with their mind. There's like was real shit like this in Russia. There was real shit like this in the US of people trying to study interesting individuals with unique capabilities. And that was really fascinating to me when I was younger. And I felt that understanding quantum physics was like my best route into figuring out like how something like that would work and why I'm not able to do stuff like that.
Sure, man. And I definitely subscribe to the metaphysics world of that being a capability that we have inherently. I've also dove into that research just a little bit about the remote viewing. And it's funny that you bring up, matching frequency. Like studying Nikola Tesla when I was in college in pre-med, I looked at, basically everything that he was doing. And the fact that he created most of modern day technology prior to it actually being introduced to reality was fucking amazing. The other thing was him being able to generate enough force to bring down a bridge because he maxed the frequency of the bridge, the vibrational frequency, with
Mhm.
such a small machine was absolutely astounding to read about. So you talk about being able to apply physics to the real world, and I totally understand where you're coming from. Like it's crazy to think that there are multiple realities that are happening all around us that we're not able to interact with because we have not been exposed to that technology or the techniques to be able to mimic a certain frequency or vibration.
Yeah, it's like secret school shit. This is like some secret society shit for real. Like, but I mean, also like building a house with secret society stuff, or like math with secret society stuff, or like how to grow seeds and do agriculture was like all that stuff got obliterated with the internet. Now everybody's trying to censor it all or whatever. But we live in a really great time for information exchange, and I think that more and more people, it's going to be undeniable the the human experience. And it's just my prayer that human expression exceeds technological advancement, numbing our potentials. I want more people that are alive right now to see what the potentials of being a human being is before we're so numbed out of our mind that we don't understand anything anymore. Like people are like, don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be harder to discern, obviously, with the more radical use of artificial intelligence. And we're seeing that already. I got like a leaf blower outside or something.
Are you straight?
Going back to what I was saying, yeah, it's going to be harder to discern because we have so many different overlapping technologies that are all biased by human design to mimic what is already out there informationally. But just like you're saying, if it's getting covered up, if it's not released to the public, how are you going to be able to go down those rabbit holes? And it always goes back to like ancient texts, I think, that we have to decipher.
Yeah, I mean, also like all these new super intelligence technologies that we're creating, we're loading it with data from a bunch of liars. Historically, history is written by a bunch of liars that lie to make themselves look good. Human beings are lying and being manipulative to each other, and this is what we're loading these information technologies with. So I think it's important that we express better potentials of living and all this kind of stuff. And this is part of what I'm trying to exemplify with my efforts, with my brand, with my research, is this reconnection to nature via high value commodities, because I feel like it's like one of the things that's more understandable. People understand success. People can see success and see health, and you don't have to translate that into different languages. So I want to associate health and wellness and success with high value natural commodities that are emphasized via sustainable regenerative agriculture, because that's the best that there ever is. That's the best that there ever will be. And it should be the most expensive. And people that are interacting with these kinds of things should be the most successful. So I wanted to just exemplify that in my work.
No, absolutely. And I could clearly see that, see the passion and see the drive to make sure that this information's readily available for people and also the courses that you have on your website to learn from. So I wanted to continue your path. So you're in Taiwan and then do you come back to the States and then you go back to school?
No, I dropped out. I was in 11th grade in Taiwan. I went there. I dropped out of school. I worked for a little bit at a restaurant. And I just kind of like fucked around for a while. Like, I came back to the U.S. I got interested in indoor hydroponics. And I ended up getting my own apartment when I was 17 years old. And I wasn't in the best place to be doing indoor hydroponics the way that I wanted to do it. So I ended up
Mhm.
translating that information into organic agriculture and indoor mushroom cultivation.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I started growing food outside. My lady and I, we got our first house together whenever I was 18 and she was like 17. Then I just started a garden. I started growing food outside. I started growing mushrooms inside, and yeah, and I started studying permaculture.
Nice. So with that being said, so you start growing and you start getting more into your craft. So with the permaculture, explain what permaculture is versus agriculture.
Permaculture is a whole systems design science that utilizes nature as a model for the design. So biomimicry is really the root of permaculture design systems. So permaculture is not it's more than agriculture. It can be utilized to design any kind of systems. It's a design science. It's a systems design science. So you can utilize it to design systems that are more aligned with nature, so
Hmm.
that they're more resilient in comparison to human ideological systems that tend to fail.
And where did you start picking up the permaculture? Like, who are your mentors or people that you looked for this information from?
I first took a permaculture apprenticeship with Benjamin Weiss in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, and then I took a permaculture design course that was led by Benjamin Weiss and Wilson Alvarez through Susquehanna Sustainable Industries and in Ghazi in Harrisburg. I got a scholarship from Pfeffer Street Garden in Harrisburg. It was like a renegade garden that one of
Hmm.
my friends Shannon Silty kind of like took over with some friends. They took over an abandoned lot in Harrisburg and they started growing native plants there. And now it is protected by the city.
That's
And
awesome.
their efforts back in 2014 paid for me to go take the permaculture class, which at the time was the most affordable permaculture design course in the entire United States, which I still couldn't afford. I mean, shit, as a high school dropout,
Yeah.
POC in central Pennsylvania wasn't super easy to make a lot of money or to figure it all out. But hey, I figured it out. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's where I started picking up permaculture. And Benjamin Weiss and Wilson Alvarez remained my mentors and guides into the world of permaculture. They're really the ones that like taught me everything that I know and the basis of information that I utilize in
And
permaculture.
so with that, you moved into mycology from the gardens that you started growing?
Immediately, like when I took the permaculture apprenticeship, um, I was like tripping all the time. Like I was super tripped
Okay.
out. And like I went in when I saw the garden that I started doing permaculture or I took the apprenticeship, it was the first thing that I saw that was designed by a human being that didn't look fucked up. Like everything would
Hmm.
I'd be like tripping, I'd be like, yo, this is crazy. Like I can't believe that we live in houses like this. Like I can't believe we're driving on streets like this. I can't believe we've done this to ourselves. And I walk in this backyard and I'm just like, dang, wait, a human did this? This looks kind of fire. Like, you know what I mean? Like this looks
Yeah.
cool. So in that design, in that backyard, there was a lot of food being grown, and then there's mushrooms growing at the bottom. And I'm asking everybody about the mushrooms, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what that is. Like, we only know about like chicken of the woods, or like, yeah, I have no idea what that is." And I'm like, damn, the little bit that I know about mushrooms to have been able to grow my own mushrooms previously was more than most people knew in the space of knowing about nature and stuff like that. I was like, dang, I
Sure.
know more than most people just by knowing the little bit that I know. So, and I was paying my mentors to take these classes. The apprenticeship cost money. The permaculture design course cost money. I took foraging classes that cost money. I took rewilding classes that cost money. And I was like, damn, like education seems to be like a significant engine in this realm.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, nobody could teach me about mushrooms. Like the only classes about mushrooms are in Oregon or South Carolina or Washington. And I was like, all right, shit, like I'm going to teach people about mushrooms. So I started putting mushroom classes, mushroom content on my YouTube. And then like my first couple classes, I got like somebody came up from Maryland to one of my classes. And it was this guy, Michael Weiss, who's like an expert at mushroom foraging,
Hmm.
and I was teaching about how to grow mushrooms outdoors and wood chips. And he was like, if you teach me how to grow mushrooms, I'll teach you about how to forage mushrooms. And it was just like crazy, just like boom, boom, like a lot of connections from the beginning. And yeah, it went down that, the avalanche rolled down and became, more amplified on mushrooms. Because if you look at my old content on my
Hmm.
YouTube channel, which is Mycosymbiote, my original content was like permaculture. I was putting vegan recipes on there because I used to be raw vegan and then vegan. So I was like putting all these recipes that I was making on there. I was posting about algae. I was posting about composting. I was posting about insect farming. I was posting about permaculture, and I was posting about mushrooms. But like every time I was posting on the internet about mushrooms, it got way more interactions and views than anything else. Like even like 11, 12 years ago.
Hmm.
And so I was like, all right, clearly mushrooms are the thing to do. So I just started putting all my time and energy into the mushroom stuff.
So do you think that you're talking about like tripping consistently, do you think that opened up a pathway in your brain to go down and be curious about this, to learn more about it and to start teaching people?
It definitely helped. Like I like also maintain youthful innocence that I feel like most people don't. Like I dropped out of high school and I just started doing whatever I wanted to do. Like I like
Sure.
did not subscribe to the status quo whatsoever. Like from the time I was 13, I started making rap music. I just like started choosing alternative. Like, by the time I was 13, I started making rap music, like recording myself. 14, 15 years old, I have my own YouTube channel, and I'm figuring out how to market myself. Because like my dad, whenever I was younger, he would tell me I have an 18-30 rule. He's like, whenever you're 18, you got 30 days to get the fuck out of my house. That's what he'd tell me. So I
Okay.
was like, oh shit. When I'm 18, I got to figure out how to like provide for myself. And so
Mhm.
like I knew from the time I'm like 14 years old, I'm like, yo, I got to figure out how to make some money because I saw other black kids on the internet making a lot of fucking money on YouTube. And I was
Mhm.
just like, yo, what? This is crazy. I never seen anything like this before. Like
Mhm.
YouTube became the engine. I was like, yo, I need to get viral on YouTube. I need to get famous on YouTube. Like back in like 2006, 2007, I'm like, yo, I got to get famous off YouTube. So like I was posting a bunch of content on YouTube, trying to figure out how to market myself. I learned how to use Photoshop. I started making album covers for people that were making music at my school.
Mhm.
I started recording people. I started saving up and getting recording equipment. I had a little studio in my closet, and I would record people because I was the only person in my friend group who knew how to like use the recording equipment and shit. And yeah, so like I maintained that curiousness, and then like it was like I was like I was like really straight edge when I was younger, and um, I didn't really get into urban until I met my girl. I wanted to hang out with her and she was into it. So like I just was like, all right, let me try this. Let me see what happened. Like I grew up in the church and like I was really influenced by my grandfather who was an English professor. He's the first African American English professor at Medgar Evers University in Brooklyn, New York. I mean it's a black college, but like he's one of the first African American English professors like in New York City. It's just crazy. Like he was very like I wanted to like be a tactful, respectful young man. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I didn't think about none of that stuff. And so like I tried herb and I didn't want to try nothing else. And like I thought other stuff would make me lose my mind. And when I started getting around like 16 and 17, like I stopped. I didn't believe in the church anymore. Like I was
Mhm.
studying science and like there was things in the church that was conflicting against the scientific evidence that I was finding.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in anything. I'm like 16 years old. I'm like, yo, I'm an atheist. And like, um, I felt like I was missing a part of life. And so I started studying like esoteric philosophy and I started like studying world religions and I started meditating. Like by the time I was 17, I was meditating for like hours a day. Like by the time I'm 18, I was meditating for fucking like hours and hours and hours a day. Like it was like I probably meditated by the time between like 17 and like 19, I probably meditated for thousands of hours. And I wasn't reaching the places that I'm seeing in historical texts of these enlightened individuals and shit. I'm just like, yo, what's wrong with me? Like I'm
Mhm.
waking up tired. I'm a young man. My body's not working right. I'm meditating all these hours and I'm not getting any mystical experiences. And that's when I tried the psychoactives and shit like that. So it was like really like galvanized by the information that I was taking in at the same time. Because like I'd be like meditating, I'd be listening to binaural beats, I'd be chanting in Hebrew, Mandarin, Egyptian, Tibetan, and Aramaic.
Mhm.
And so I'd be chanting in all these different languages. I'd be holding like different mudras with my hands, and I'd be holding mantras in my head, listening to binaural beats and like doing meditation for like dummy hours. And then I like incorporated like mushrooms and LSD and shit, and then it was just like, woo, that shit went crazy. So like once I incorporated that in with my meditation, then I was like clearly able to like one like puke out a bunch of like bullshit programming in my head, like from watching a bunch of TV and like letting all these different advertisements into my body or like letting all these advertisements in my psyche. I had like I'm like moving through my mind like it's and I could see different corporations that had territory inside of my mind, and I'm just like, oh shit, like get the fuck out of here, like you're not welcome here. Like I was
Sure.
literally like banishing like McDonald's out of my mind. I'm banishing Nike out of my mind. I'm banishing like Lamborghini, Porsche, whatever out of my mind. Like, yo, you don't belong here. I don't have no interest investing into your entities, into your companies. Like y'all did a good job, like securing some part of my mind to that I'm like some like fucking worshiping your cult, but like, nah,
Mhm.
get out of here. Like, you know what I mean? So like it took a while to like emancipate myself from mental slavery. And then I was like, yo, shit. Once I got all that shit out of my mind, I was like, yo, this is why this shit's illegal. I can't believe I don't need a license to be a human being. Like we're all capable. We can do so much shit. Like like I mean like there's definitely limitations of a human being, but the fact of the matter is that we can mimic every force of nature in the world. Like and the fact that we just get to walk around like this unlicensed, unregistered, like what the fuck? Like I was like, damn, like once you recognize the power of the I am, once you recognize the power of like yourself, then you recognize why so many people are like fighting for your attention, because like our life force energy and who we are is like worth fortunes. It's worth it's unpriceable or whatever. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's invaluable. You can't put a price on it. Like you're capable of infinite creation. So like recognizing that shit, game changer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I thank you for sharing that. That man, that's a journey because the fact that you're like, okay, I need to try out some experiments. Let's run these experiments where I'm meditating for hours, trying to pick up the ancient ways of how they reached enlightenment, and you're just trying all these different avenues. But what you said makes a ton of sense with emancipating yourself from basically society, because we are all coming from different cultures, right? And different countries have their history. And I was actually going down like my history path of medieval times and then like moving into like the 15th century where there was the new renaissance with the Italians, because for whatever reason that's what I'm into right now, is like the Italian Renaissance. But even then it's like the rejection against the current model of society is like, that is what all those periods were doing, because they're like, hold on, we've been taught up to this point of what modern day should look like and how you're supposed to be acting appropriately, quote unquote. But if you're releasing yourself from that and starting to dig into like what is truly your vision, what's coming from the soul that you want to pursue and be interested in, then you should be able to go and do that. And I like how you say unlicensed. That's fucking great. It's just crazy that when we're born, we're assigned a number, right? And we're just another number of a population, but it's much bigger than that, I believe. And I think the systems that have been put in place have worked up to a point, but now they're starting to erode. And I feel like the people that are in power are starting to recognize that no one's subscribing to this shit anymore.
Yeah, for real. It's a really great opportunity as young Americans here in the United States, in the land of the free. And because the previous people have chosen to make it the land of the free to fuck your neighbors over as much as you possibly can. But we have the opportunity, because it's been set in place that we do have freedoms that's not realized in any other parts of the world, to be able to take control over our futures. And it's not easy, and nobody's going to do it for us, and it's going to take a lot of uncomfortability. But the reality is, those of us that are able to stand on our 2 feet and be true men and women for our people, it's our responsibility to be the grand alchemists of the moment, to take the reality, the bullshit reality that was given to us, and transform it and take these pieces of it and turn it into something else that fits what we need to be the people that we are. Because we are human beings, and human beings need, I mean, like, it's like super crazy to think about, but like we need fresh air and clean water and sunlight. It, like clean food that's not contaminated with poison, and we won't have anxiety and depression and all of these other things. But we're living in boxes and subjecting ourselves to highly unnatural circumstances, highly ideological circumstances of a few psychopaths, like, to be quite honest. Because like the people that make it to the top 9 times out of 10 in these systems are people that are capable of taking advantage of other people in a big way. They're people that are capable of feeding mass populations poison to make a profit, and understanding what the hell is going on in the meantime. Anybody that can do that, I don't feel like is mentally okay. But they've also defined what sanity is. So good luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's our job to deal with. That's our reality. The fact that we know this, the fact that we can communicate about this, is the fact that we can get past this instead of crying about it. Like,
Mhm.
there's so much in, like, I chose to cry quick because everything's happening fast as fuck. So like that shit's fucked up. It's sad that we live in a country where corporations rule and they're taking advantage of us and they're poisoning us, and they don't care, and that's how they make their profit, by giving us like the cheapest, worst product, maybe even fake product, and selling it us as a golden egg. And in reality, it's a egg from a chicken that was stuck inside of a building with bloody other dead chickens on top of it. That's the reality that's being served to us right now. And it's sad. I cried about it when I was 19 years old. But there's people out there expecting somebody else to do something about it. It's
Hmm.
our job to do something about it. And in a consumerism reality, in a capitalist reality, it's make a better product that people want to buy that puts pressure on all these other systems. And that's why we have CAFO eggs at the grocery store that says pasture raised, cage free range, except these are still chickens that are in giant warehouses that they just put a little door and they fix the little regulations because we want better product. But the more that we put pressure on people and the more that consumers understand, that's our job. That's our job. That's my job. You know what I mean? As an individual that's in this lane of connecting people to the natural world, of connecting people to where food actually comes from, of connecting people to what natural medicine actually means. That's my job. You know what I mean? And whatever place that you fit in reality, whatever perspective you're seeing, whether you're in economics, whether you're in precious metals, whether you're in medicine, whether you're in podcasting, whatever, it's your lane and you're seeing some reality and you know in your heart, because we're all human beings, what's your responsibility to make the world a better place around you. Otherwise, you're going to hell. I mean, like, and there's some people that's down with it. They literally are just like drinking liquid death and they're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to hell. Like, whatever. Literally tattooing it all over their face. There's that culture and I fuck with you. You know what I mean? Because I can relate to all these different kind of people. They get down with good food, good beer. You know what I'm saying? They'll fuck with some whatever's. So there's some place that we all connect. But like, I'm not trying to ride that rabbit hole. I got kids and I want to stick my fucking feet as far into the ground as I possibly can to pump the brakes on this shit on some like what's the fucking name of the dude that raced against the train that tried to build John or some shit? The black man that tried to build the train tracks faster than there's a story, some story I can't remember. But like, I'm trying to pump the brakes. I'm trying to show that we have the capability to be the humanity that we want to be. We don't need to rely on the headless horseman that is progress for the sake of progress, because it's poisoning all of us and it's making it harder for us to provide some sort of efficacious reality for our children and their children and their children's children.
Man, that was deep. And dude, everything that you're saying, I completely agree with. I mean, there's, a lot of people in America, especially right now, that complain about so many things. And yet it's like, do you actually take accountability for the actions that you continuously do year after year? Is there any way that you can actually make a change so that you can provide value to the world, right? Where you're talking about creating changes that you're trying to leave a legacy behind for your children, a world that is built differently by new mentalities instead of the old mentality. It's progress. It's making sure that we are taking the pieces of our soul and putting it into our brands, into the work that we do, and making sure that other people can connect with that in some sort of way. Just like you're talking about with people that want to abide by the society that is current. Okay, all good, right? But you cannot complain about it if you're agreeing with the current model. You need to be able to step outside of yourself and see the bigger picture of what is the future that you're trying to project.
Yeah, 100%. And it's tough for a lot of people because a lot of people have a boot on their neck, figuratively. Hopefully not literally, but some people do literally have a boot on their neck. But a lot of people are pressured. A lot of people are working check to check. A lot of people don't know what's going to happen next. A lot of people don't know what they're going to eat next. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are dependent upon the systems that are at hand, which provides us convenient bullshit. It doesn't have to be that way. So like, I started selling truffle burgers this summer because I was in between my business. I just moved back from Los Angeles. I've been working to get my business set back up so that I can get back to what I like to do. So I started a burger pop-up and I started selling grass-fed burgers.
Okay.
And I started doing tallow fries. And after being in LA, I just saw a lot of realities of humanity. Like, it's a lot of life happening real fast for a lot of people. And it's very, very real. And all of their struggles are very, very real. And they all eat a lot of burgers. Like, LA has so many burger restaurants and they all have fucking lines down the block. And I've spent the past 10 years past 11, 12 years, trying to convince people why they should eat mushrooms. Like, for many, many years, I did every farmer's market in my area. Every farmer's market in my area, I did farmer's market every time I'm out there, people are asking me, what's this? Like, literally jumping away. Oh, I don't eat mushrooms. Or like, I'm not having to educate every single person. Right. And time again, I'm finding myself with no money. And then I started working on this truffle concept. I did a truffle documentary. I'm doing truffle pop-ups. And then I ran up a truffle burger pop up for my festival. Because last year I had some other chefs that came pop up and they did burgers
Hmm.
and they did a couple other food items and they did good business, and they weren't able to come this year. And I was like, oh well, I don't want to lose out on that opportunity. Like I'm in a place where I really need some money to get back on my feet. So I was like, all right, I can get a grill, I can make some burgers. Let me do truffle burgers so it's in alignment with what I'm doing. I made this concept. I sold out at my festival, and I had never made that much money just selling mushrooms in my life. And I was like, wow, you don't have to educate anybody about a burger.
Hmm.
And I was like, so I did another iteration, sold out at an event up in Maine. And I was like, all right, I can reasonably afford to go get grass-fed beef, organic cheese, organic lettuce, organic tomatoes, make organic sauce, get the best bread the best tasty bread that I can get
Hmm.
that is in alignment with, non-GMO or whatever, closest to I can get, but it's better than what else is on the market. And I can offer it for less than people are going out and getting shit quality animals that are being tortured, XYZ. I'm offering it for less than that. And so I'm like, yo, it's reasonable. Like, there's people that are just greedy, because I'm
Hmm.
out here selling a grass-fed burger for $10 that comes with truffle sauce, with real fucking truffle sauce. $10. Where are you getting? You can't even go to fast food restaurants these days and come out with burger and fries for less than that these days. So I'm just like, yo, there's just a bunch of greedy players out here right now. So it does make sense in a real way for people to be able to offer alternatives to what everybody's subjected to right now. And
Hmm.
that I think is part of what I'm saying is the grand alchemy of the moment, is taking pieces of the reality that we've been subjected to and little by little translating it into something that's taking us in the direction of where we want to go. Because not everybody's going to be able to just point blank drop this reality that they grew up with and start singing kumbaya and eating foraged food out of the woods. Even me, as somebody that with a burning passion in my heart desire to break free of this reality, I didn't want to eat wild food out the woods. I didn't know how to eat that shit. It didn't taste good. My palate
Sure.
was destroyed by eating foods that was designed to keep me addicted forever.
Hmm.
It took me a while to be able to create things with the foods I'm pulling out of the woods, the things I'm pulling out of the woods that is actually good to eat. You know what I mean? So, long story less long, it's not expensive to give people something that's actually good, that is relatable to what they're getting and what they're experiencing right now. And it's so needed.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I mean, it's hard to get people educated, especially if they don't want to listen or it's not attention grabbing like most things are today. Uh, and what you're saying is you're hitting it right on the money that most entrepreneurs and innovators do is like they look at what the current model is and then they chop and screw details of it and then make it their own. I mean, it's not something that you have to come up with a complete original idea. It's mainly just how can you put alternative measures in place that make a product better and have more quality so someone else can also have a future curiosity of, wait, if they're doing this, how can I apply my own magic to this product or create something from that? And this is something I've been thinking about a lot this past week is just like where creativity comes from. I think it just comes from the burning desire to want to see your vision come to life. Like you listen to a piece of music or you see a piece of art and you're looking at aspects of it that you can appreciate, but then in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I wish I could create something like that.
Yeah.
And there are things that you have accumulated in your life that give you those inner tools to make something actually work. It just takes time and it also takes a lot of experimenting, just like you're talking about, taking from the natural world. The natural world is a pure sense of creativity because we have not tapped into every species that's on this planet, which still blows my fucking mind.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot to explore inwards and outwards. And I think it's just a matter of aligning people's modern nervous systems with making it attractive. And, that's my mission. That's why I've focused on highlighting valuable aspects of the environment. That's why I'm with truffles. That's why I'm with saffron. That's why I'm with cordyceps, because these are things that like may seem out of reach to people because of their price, but they're things that people can either grow or find in the wild, all of them. And by letting people know that not only can they access these things, but there's also native varieties that are from the regions where they're from, I think that's further emphasis. That gives you individuality. That gives me a reason why I want to go to where you live. Because otherwise, there's the same Applebee's, the same McDonald's, the same Walmart, the same
Yeah.
everything in every single city in the whole United States. Like, what makes your place different than my place? Like, it's the natural parts of it that does. But
Hmm.
like, people are so detached, and it's like, oh shit, did you know there's truffles that grow in the mountains behind the city that you've grown up in your whole life? Oh shit, I didn't know that shit.
Right.
Like, yo, all right, then you're outside and you're out there looking for that shit, and you're just like, yo, damn, there's these crazy mountain, and there's waterfall out here, and there's literally drinking spring water out here. Like, it's just the little things that gets people out there, the little things that people can relate to reconnect. You know what I mean? Reconnect, regenerate, and rebel from the culture of hate. That's the energy.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, it's crazy that, I mean, not really crazy. It's funny that most of the products come from the natural world that change your worldview, that change your perspective. And it doesn't even have to be edible. It's just like you're talking about, just being able to appreciate a mountain or a waterfall. That was the main reason I moved to Oregon, was because I wanted to get away from the desert. I already explored everything the desert had to offer me. So I needed to see what other natural landscapes provided and be able to just sit in nature where it could teach me lessons that I was yearning to learn from. And being in that environment just taught me so much about myself, because I was by myself most of the time. I had two friends that lived in the Northwest, but it was me just fucking exploring, just doing everything that I could to understand who I was as a person and detach from the city life and really explore, like, what does the world have to offer, like the good and the bad. Because there would just be moments where I would be depressed because of how cloudy and gloomy it was, but then you're thinking about this, well, that's why this place is beautiful, is because of this rain. It's because of these seasons that it has every fucking year that makes it the way it is.
Yeah, there's a lot to appreciate. I want more people to be able to appreciate it. And it's part of the reason why I want to continue to emphasize that there's really valuable stuff out there, that regular people can interact with. Because for me, most of my life, when I would go on a hike, because I didn't start going on a hike till I was older.
Mhm.
And then when I would go on a hike, I'm like, all right, I got to go find these mushrooms I can go take to the market. I got to go find these mushrooms I can go like put it in the lab. I can like sell these cultures. Maybe one out of like 9 times out of 10, I'm going in the forest as an extractive capitalist. Why is that? Like, some people may be like, oh shit, that guy's fucked up. But like, why is that? Because I've lived most of my life check to check. Most people that live their life check to check, you're not going to see them out on a hike. Like, that means that they're not working. That
Mhm.
means that you have to have time and free time to be outside. You know what I mean? I haven't
Right.
I haven't been able to afford time to leisurely just be walking around in the woods. So I had to make as many of these trips profitable so that I can even spend time in the woods to even explore out there. And that's a reality for most people. And that's why I'm trying to emphasize that there's things that are valuable out there. And maybe it seems like an extractive mentality, but mushrooms are the best thing to pull out of the woods. Like, mushrooms are the most sustainable thing. Mushroom foraging is more sustainable than conservation. Don't at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is traditions of mushroom pickers in Europe and in China. But in Europe, they did research, because when it's chanterelle season, families are outside picking chanterelles across the whole mountaintop. Porcini season, families are outside picking porcini across whole mountaintops. Mushroom mushroom foraging and foraging rights precedes private land rights. You're allowed to go forage on people's private land in certain European countries if you know that there's mushrooms there. So why is there mushrooms there every season if for generations everybody's been out there picking them? Like, people are worried about like conservation, like, oh, you can't take too much this or that. Literally, I'll be outside and there's nobody out there. How come I'm at the most beautiful place at the most beautiful time to be there and it's just me? How come I'm at the giant patch of mushrooms at the season when they're there, and the only other evidence is some bear shit? Like, these are reasons that people that would like traditionally or classically or in this moment not be able to be in the woods, then you can go out in the woods. And we establish an agricultural cooperative that helps to support individuals that want to get into foraging. We have an agricultural cooperative, Mycosymbiotics cooperative. So if you get out there and you start finding some chanterelles and you don't know what to do with it, all right, we'll give you protocol. We'll make sure you get certifications. You can go find those mushrooms that are in your area in your season, and we'll help you to sell them, or we'll buy them from you, because we have people that are connected XYZ places that need to make products with those mushrooms. I need to make products with those mushrooms. We have people that need that on these shelves. So we're trying to help people because not everybody's a business person.
Hmm.
More people need to be able to connect with nature. Now, the biggest thing that's stopping people is that they're living check to check and they got bills every month. So let's make it happen. If this is our bridge, I think it's a great one.
What advice would you give to people to buy back their time?
Start. All right. So like I built my everything that people see originally from a 4x4 tent in my basement that I was paying rent for a house. I was working at Quaker Steak and Lube. It's a restaurant chain in the East Coast that sells wings and burgers. And I was doing that because I had my first kid. We had our first kid when I was not 20 years old. He was born when I'm 20 years old. And I dropped out of high school. I couldn't get good jobs. People don't care that I know what I know. I could get jobs serving tables was the best money I can make. Here in central Pennsylvania to this day, minimum wage is $7.25. The most money I can make back then, serving tables. So I'm serving tables, I'm paying my rent, and everybody I try to tell that I'm trying to do a mushroom business, they are like, oh, that's just a hobby. But like, don't believe in me type shit.
Hmm.
And so I saved up my money and I got a 4x4 tent I put in my basement. I started growing mushrooms off coffee grounds that I would go pick up from the local cafes because I'm not trying to buy anything. And then I found a local lumber yard that I could for $5 I could get a truckload of sawdust. So I started turning $5 truckloads of sawdust and coffee grounds I could get from the local cafe into reishi mushrooms and oyster mushrooms. Then that first year, I started a mushroom festival that was affordable for people in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic because the only other mushroom festival is inaccessible. To this day, I mean, I teach there. If they didn't hire me to teach there, I would never be able to afford to go there.
Hmm.
That's just the reality of it. That's the Telluride Mushroom Festival. Those are the other options. Back then, before I started Mycofest, there wasn't the Ohio Mushroom Festival or the New York Mushroom Festival or the Western. Like, there's mushroom festivals everywhere now. Like, when I started, it was not like that. So, like, I started a mushroom festival that was affordable for people. It was Mycofest back in 2015. First festival, somebody found cordyceps. I started turning those cordyceps, and that changed my whole life. Like, just knowing about how to get them things to grow changed my whole life. But, like, I was able to make all of those moves and build all of that business because nobody would give me a loan. Everybody thought I'm crazy. Like, I've had banks not even let me open up accounts here where I live because I grow mushrooms.
Hmm.
So, like, yeah, I started this shit from $5 sawdust and coffee grounds. There wasn't anything particularly like, I do believe I'm special. I believe everybody's special. And like, I also have my quirks that I have to figure out how to deal with the world because the world's not going to change for me because I can't handle certain things or I'm sensitive to certain things. Nobody's going to, it gives a fuck enough to make the world change for me. So I had to figure out how to change for myself because I didn't want to let that be what my story was. So yeah, I mean, high school dropout, literally working, serving burgers and whatever, coffee grounds, $5 sawdust. And if anybody says that they can't, then I don't know what to say. Like that's on them in their own state of mind to figure it out because there's a Starbucks everywhere in the whole US and they have ground gardens. So you can go in there and literally get free coffee grounds. So even if you can't say there's Starbucks everywhere. Like it don't matter if you don't have a local cafe, there's a Starbucks. If you have a local cafe, cool. Start taking those coffee grounds. There's videos on YouTube how to turn coffee grounds into grow mushrooms. And if you need spawn and to start with and you can't find spawn, hit me up. I'll get you some mushroom spawn. Hit my email. I'll get you a bag of mushroom spawn so you can get started if you need mushroom spawn to get started. If that's your limitation that you can't afford a bag of mushroom spawn to get started growing on the coffee grounds, I'll give it to you. So that's my advice to people. Start growing mushrooms on coffee grounds because it's a way to create value from nothing. And there's other avenues like this. Microgreens, working with insect farming. That the first time I was ever in a newspaper was for insect farming. I was teaching about insect farming in Baltimore. And I was teaching about it from a permaculture lens because you can grow insects on food scraps and then you can get high protein feedstock for your chickens. So many different reasons why you should be growing insects. There's like a whole reptile market that needs crickets and mealworms and all this kind of shit. I'm not particularly interested in people growing bugs for people to eat, but that's up to them. Like 80% of the world eats bugs. Like, so maybe there's a market for that shit. But like, there's so many reasons for agricultural purposes why you would want to grow bugs. Literally grow bugs on food scraps. Mushrooms, bugs, algae. Algae is so easy to grow, and there's so many reasons why you want to grow algae. And if you don't have the techniques or capability to grow safe algae for human consumption, you can grow a lot of algae for fertilizer, a lot of algae for animal feed, and it's cheap to grow. All you need is some sunlight and a tank with a air pump to bubble up your tank. You can literally go get some wild algae from a pond and grow that shit for fertilizer. Sell that shit. Azolla, duckweed. Literally grow that shit in a kiddie pool that you get from Walmart. Like high value animal feed. from water that sits outside, just sitting around getting stagnant from nutrients that accumulate in it. There's a lot of different avenues to get started because nature literally is providing immense value from nothing. Like figure out foragings. There's something in your area. Even if you live in the desert in New Mexico and Arizona, I put a video on my YouTube about how to find goji berries in the desert out there. They're straight the like center of the Chinese medicine wheel. One of the most valuable like berries in the world is growing wild in abundance in the desert outside Phoenix. Like I could go on and on. Like tell me which region you live in. I'll tell you what's available that you can go get that shit for free and change your whole life up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just determination, community, and then lock in. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to keep providing as many avenues as a responsible man in this world and with the connections that I have and knowing who I am and what that means to continue to provide avenues like our agricultural cooperative and models for other people to do similar things, to provide avenues for other people that may not understand business to live a life that's more free. Like there's so many times where I'm foraging, I didn't know what to do with it. But if I was part of a co-op that's like in constant demand of reishi mushrooms, shit, I know where to get reishi mushrooms for a week, a whole every day of the week. You know what I mean? Like, and
Right.
that could really change somebody's day to day. That could give somebody financial freedom. And the best part about it is that nature is therapeutic and we all need therapy. The forest is an antidepressant and it's probably one of the best antidepressants. And there's so many research papers showing why, from like the smells that comes out of the soil, the microbes that are in the environment. Going out on a hike is so medicinal. It's probably one of the best medicines. Smelling the fresh mushroom when you pick it off the tree or interacting with the herb in person is the best medicine. There's volatile compounds that you will inhale that is like you're literally consuming them through your nose that nobody else can get because it's only available in that interaction. Once you harvest it, take it for any reason, it's gone. So like there's so much medicine in just being able to be out there. So providing people with the means to be able to be interacting with nature more than being inside of a box, it's all going in the right directions. It's little baby steps towards the right directions.
Just to recap, and I think what you're saying with what you just explained beautifully was you need to have a problem, you need to be resourceful, and you need to be committed. And I think, just being resourceful for anybody, that's like the major component of success. It's looking at different things around you and seeing what other people aren't seeing. It's noticing the small details of, fuck, I could get this for free, or just being able to use your environment, like you're saying, to your advantage. It's literally you just paying attention, disconnecting yourself from everything, all the bullshit that is put in front of you constantly, TV, social media, advertisements. It's paying attention to the things that are going to create your reality and being able to put them all together and make a concoction that is going to be a form of success and just not giving up on it. I think
Yo, for real.
that's pretty much what I'm gathering from your story. And dude, it's so inspiring to hear people like yourself who have been a pioneer of something that you believed in for such a long fucking time. It's incredible. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thanks for seeing me. And there's
Um,
like a lot of really great examples. Like the I forget what her name is, the shorty from New Orleans that made the glass recycling program, and now she blew up. Now she got a whole bunch of infrastructure for recycling glass because there wasn't glass recycling available. And or like I was in Austin, Texas, and there's this guy that just got a regular pickup truck and started like getting buckets of like compost from people's houses, like because there wasn't any compost facility. Now he has like real dump trucks and like real trash cans at people's houses that they can put their compost in. He takes it and makes compost and soil that's available for people to use, and that's a whole product that he can sell. There's even like a company there called Nona Lim that makes bone broth, and they have all these bones as waste, and he's able to have this industrial dehydrator that he grinds up all the bones and makes dog food with it. Like there's like a million things going on right now around us. And it really just, I mean, again, like a lot of people don't have that opportunity, but I gave I just gave so many options and like the list could go on. I could do a podcast where it's just like, all right, next thing, next thing, next thing. Let's figure out something that could help people for free that they could start doing to start making sales. Like I'm literally selling for like, I think it's like $5 or $10 on my website. I have a deli cup of Starbucks coffee grounds with oyster mushroom mycelium that you could buy it and then pop a hole in it, oyster mushrooms pops out of it. But I'm selling that. Like it's a clear like already thing that's like being sold. There's already a market for it. People are literally buying that. And people are like, yo, like, why are you selling the coffee? Like, I'm selling the coffee grounds because people buy the coffee grounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be that guy with like stacks of like, yo, I got the blue oysters, I got the lion's mane, like all on the coffee ground cups. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a whole thing that's not happening. So like, I don't know. I hope people could get some energy. I hope people get inspired because there's a lot of opportunities outside.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And, just to wrap things up, because, dude, I have so many other questions that I want to ask you, but,
I
time's
got to dash
limited.
here. It's already 4 o'clock.
Yeah, yes.
Mycosymbiotics.com. Everything is there. Every link to go to anywhere, all my socials, everything, all my YouTube, everything. Mycosymbiotics.com.
Will, it has been such a fucking pleasure to like get to know you and hear your story. Definitely want to have another podcast in the future. This was incredible. I'm gonna have to rewatch this because there's a lot of good info that I could take away from it.
Yo, give thanks and praise. I wish you the best blessings on everything that you're doing. I hope that this goes to the moon, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that all of our efforts are, not in vain. We can really make an impact in this world. So thank you for platforming me.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good day.
Peace. Be well.
Peace.